Nearly every single founder that I speak to tells me that they have a complete lack of accountability in their lives. And that's the reason for all the issues that they're currently experiencing. Hi, I'm Alexsandra. I'm a seasoned climate tech and crypto founder who founded a pioneering company that led to a whole new booming industry. And now I work with entrepreneurs like you who are dealing with burnout while trying to build their businesses. In today's video, I'm going to talk about accountability. Accountability is this concept that I feel like at one point we were talking about a lot. There was this idea of accountability buddies, but it's fallen out of the rhetoric recently. I want to bring it back up because honestly, I talk to founders from all over the world. Every week, multiple founders are telling me that what they're dealing with is, a slew of different problems that lead to burnout and stress. But at the heart of it, when I ask them this key question is, what is stopping you from breaking free of burnout or dealing with your procrastination? They tell me it's a lack of accountability. What a lack of accountability will lead to are multiple things: procrastination, stuckness, a complete lack of motivation to down, and disconnection. I'm going to walk through each one of these in this video here. It can be especially difficult for founders who are solo founders, but also even those who have co-founders who are working on things that are completely different from them, separate from them, and there isn't a lot of visibility as to what's going on. And what I really want to say here is this might be a little bit triggering for some people who might feel like a lot of sense of shame around this, specifically with regard to procrastination and the bad habits that come up that we don't hold ourselves accountable for doing. And I just want to say it's totally fine. Like, just take a deep grounding breath and remember that we are all struggling with our own issues. We are all struggling with our own bad habits that are keeping us stuck or from being the full versions of ourselves. Even if it looks like others are not and you're the only one, I promise you, you're not. Okay? So let's lay down that foundation, give yourself some grace, and then let's talk about what we can do about it. So procrastination, what does it look like? We all know that procrastination is just essentially putting something off that you need to get done. And there are many different things that we all do in order to procrastinate. Doom scrolling on our phones is now a favorite, which a lot of us, at least from my generation and before, we didn't have that growing up. So for Gen Z people and anyone entering into the workforce with this new constant addiction to the dopamine of scrolling, I empathize with you. It also can look like finding other tasks that need to get done. Another way of procrastinating beyond doom scrolling is what I call fake productivity, is convincing ourselves that there's something that needs to get done. And it's just something that makes us a little bit more comfortable, less uncomfortable, reduces our discomfort or our pain of doing the thing we actually need to do. And then we get to pat ourselves on the back and say, okay, I was productive today. Personally, this is my favorite. This is the one that I go to the most, which is, oh, well, I spent, 3 hours in my Leads database and I got a lot done. It wasn't the right thing to get done. And I know that because I have a list of my priorities and the things that need to get done in a day. So beware of that one. And then there's also procrastination. Procrastination is avoidance. We can procrastinate or avoid the things that we need to do by numbing ourselves, by distracting ourselves with creature comfort. What are creature comforts? They're the things that we use to numb ourselves, distract ourselves, feel good in the moment, give us pleasure. So overeating, drinking a lot, sitting on the couch and binge watching a Netflix series, porn, lots of different things that we do from our animalistic nature to kind of tune out the things that we are uncomfortable with. And the reason why we go to these creature comforts is because we don't want to sit with what's happening, this discomfort in our body. Think about it when you have a task that you know you need to get done that will actually be helpful to you. The reason why you procrastinate comes down to you not wanting to be with those uncomfortable feelings. This is why I constantly talk about meditation as a really important tool to actually tune into the body and understand, like, what am I feeling right now? And then allowing those feelings to be felt. So procrastination is avoidance, and avoidance does affect not just our work life, but our entire lives, personally and professionally. And this is why I want to talk about accountability so badly, because procrastination and all of these patterns come up so often. Let's talk about the consequences of procrastination or avoiding what you need to do. What I often hear from the founders that I work with and speak to is that it causes internal pain in their body to feel like they are not living their full potential. These are highly ambitious people who are wanting to do well for themselves, who want to make a difference in the world, who want to explore the edges of their complete potential. And yet somehow they're stuck in these cycles that are causing them to avoid what they need to do and therefore waste and burn time without getting those things done. And I think that is the biggest pain point that founders are experiencing, or anybody would experience with procrastination, is not living up to the full potential that you know that you want to. It's so deeply personal. Another consequence of procrastination is pretty obvious. It's burning through your runway really, really quickly. So let's say you spend 10 hours distractedly doing something that, honestly, if you had just focused, it would have only taken you 4. I bet there's many of you out there, because I've spoken to you, who take 20 hours to do 4 hours worth of work. But let's say that you took 10 hours instead of 4 hours. Over 6 months' time, do you know how many hours you would waste if you consistently had that practice? 156 hours over 6 months will have been completely wasted, and you could have done something else with that. And what is that time? That's money. Literally, the whatever money you're bootstrapping your company with, or that you just, spent 6 months trying to fundraise for, the investors' time and money, your runway is super precious. So being able to recognize that you will have a habit of procrastination and then deciding to hold yourself accountable for breaking that cycle is super important for our leaders of business. And lastly, another consequence of procrastination is that you continue to reinforce your habit of avoidance. And avoidance will always come to bite you in the butt from your professional life to your personal life. You'll be avoiding the tough conversations that need to be had, like, should we let that person go? Are they the right fit for the team? Am I the right person to be leading this company? These are really uncomfortable and tough topics, but when you can address them with groundedness and intention, you'll be able to navigate through them much more quickly and see success quicker, right? Fail fast. But if you're avoiding these uncomfortable situations, these tough times, then you will not fail fast. You will just be spinning your wheels like a hamster. So it is really important to ease ourselves out of this habit of avoiding the discomfort. So the second consequence of a lack of accountability that I mentioned in the beginning is also being stuck. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, like a hamster on a hamster wheel, you're just running and running and running in the same place and you're not getting anywhere. And that can be also deeply painful for someone who's ambitious and has a forward-thinking mind, who has goals they want to accomplish, and so deeply desires those outcomes and feel like you're actually doing a lot, but you're not getting anywhere. That's because you're stuck in a cycle that is not getting you the results that you want. And when you have accountability in your life, you have people around you who will help you to become aware that you're even on this hamster wheel if you're not aware. And 2, these people who will hold you accountable will also help you to identify how to get off, when to get off. They'll also help you to commit to that decision to get off the hamster wheel, to get unstuck. It's incredibly important. You cannot do everything alone, nor should you. Let's leverage the kindness and the compassion that comes through the connection that we have with others. And accountability is one of those things. So the third thing that also happens when we have a lack of accountability is a lack of motivation. These are all very related, but they're different flavors of the same thing. Almost like different marshmallows in your Lucky Charms bowl, right? They taste the same, but they look a little different. So anyways, a lack of motivation is subtle to obvious, and it has an incredible impact on ourselves and the way that we show up in our workplace and in our personal life. I think we all know what that feeling is. So when we woke up in the morning and we felt like, I just don't want to do it. I want to get dressed and then I have to deal with that investor meeting, or I have a leadership meeting. Oh, maybe I could just skip stand up, because you're not feeling motivated. You don't feel like what you're putting in is getting anything out of it. There's this dead end energy. There's this dead energy of just moving around. That lack of motivation feeds itself and feeds all these other things. And lastly, the fourth thing that happens when you have a lack of accountability is complete disconnection. Disconnection from yourself and disconnection from others. And I'm going to just say a quote here, a phrase that we probably have heard many times. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. If you're a leader in a startup, you understand that you cannot do everything on your own. And if you have the idea that you need to do everything on your own, there will be a separate video for you about how to take yourself out of this hero game. And if you do feel like you have to do everything on your own, then a separate video for you will be made for how to get yourself out of hero mode, because truly effective leaders are not heroes. There's this complete myth around that, which I needed to discuss in a different video. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with others, and recognize that you will need to build out a team of highly skilled individuals in their own field who can work well together. And when you have that, then you have accountability. You showed up to the leadership meeting. You said, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z by next leadership meeting. That's the accountability. These things are really tough. I know, I've been there, especially when there's 101 things that you need to do in a day. It's never ending and it can be completely overwhelming. But that's why I create these videos for you, to give you a little sense of clarity and hopefully help ease the load. So now that we talked about all the awful consequences of a lack of accountability, let's talk about, what do we actually do about this? What is the solution? So the solution is to integrate more ways of being accountable in your life. Start building accountability into your life. You can write out your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? By when? And then there are a variety of ways you can go about this. Share it with your best friend or a group of friends, like a group chat where you are constantly texting with your friends and keeping in touch. Say, hey, I want to accomplish this thing by this date, and I'm going to do it by, doing this habit every week or so. And if I don't do those things, then I need you guys to hold me accountable. It could be placing a bet. Like, I'll pay each of you $100 for if I don't do my 10-mile run every Sunday, and you need a photo from me. You're going to then feel a lot more accountability to get that thing done, to run those 10 miles every weekend, because you promised that you would have to pay out $100. There are consequences. So we want to build in accountability by also putting consequences into our lives for what happens if we don't follow through with our commitment. So having a commitment, following through, and then consequences should we not follow through, right? It's not about whether or not holding yourself accountable for achieving a goal. It's holding yourself accountable for the things that you said you're going to do in order to get there. So in this example that I gave about running, let's say your goal was to run a marathon by the end of the 6 months. Then every Sunday you're going to do a 10-mile run, for example. It's not that you would run the marathon in a certain time, and then if you're not held accountable, then you pay everybody the $100. So hold yourself accountable to the habits and the consistencies, not necessarily the outcomes. And then, of course, a wonderful way to hold yourself accountable is to work with the coach or therapist. Share with them, what are you working on? What are you struggling on? What do you want to do? Same model. What are your commitment, or what are your goals? What are the commitments you make? The habits you're going to maintain to get there, and where you're trying to go. I call this putting your money where your mouth is. Whether you are betting and giving your friends money if you don't follow through with your commitment, or paying for a coach. Because what ends up happening is, if you don't build in these accountabilities, you're just going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be doing the same things that you've been doing this whole time. And so imagine, just take a moment, take a breath. Imagine in 3 years' time, where are you going to be? Where do you want to be? Okay. Now imagine in 3 years' time where you would be if you continued to do what you're doing today. I'll give you a hint. I could tell you where you're going to be. You're going to be where you are, or worse. Meaning you're going to have the same results that you're experiencing now, or in a worse position because you've spent all your money, all the runway that you raised for funding your company, and you're going to have wasted 3 years of your time, and you're going to feel worse about yourself. So let's nip that in the bud right now. Let's get some accountability built into your life. Text your best friends, a friend group, a community group, tell your co-founders, work with a coach. You know where to find me. And tie your habits to your goals. Make these commitments about what habits you're going to commit to get to where you want to go. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, there's a like button. Please tap that. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. By the way, if you're feeling stuck or struggling to lead your business without burning out, there's a link in the description below that will help you. It's nothing crazy, just some information about what I do and how I help founders like you to deal with these issues. Totally up to you if you want to try it out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around and listening to what I have to share. If there's anything that you do want to share with me, new videos or content you'd love to be discussed, drop a comment below. Have a great day and find some accountability.